All right, great. So welcome. I'm happy that you're here, and I'm sure we will have an interesting discussion. Now, that is what we're going to talk about right here. So let me close the door, just in case. Okay. I said there's some chat. Let me check what's on the chat. Good morning. Hi. From Houston, Texas. Yes, that is where Lawrence is. And that's where I am also. Okay, so what we want to talk about is the theory of interesting things that are going on, because honestly, we all know something interesting happens every week, absolutely, more than a person can absorb. And that's why we're here chatting about the new and interesting things. So I want to talk about the things that Andrew Ng mentions in his letter, and that letter is right here, so we'll come back to that. And then I want to show you there is getting started with Mistral. That is one of the new Andrew Ng courses. So I think he has established a frequency, which is about one course a week. Works perfect for us. It comes up and we have to do it. And it's a good introduction, but usually you try it and it doesn't work. We remember, yes, it works on the environment, but not on your computer. And then maybe we come back to talk about that same new course next time. But I have already put it into our repo, so we'll talk about that. And then we are practically doing some interesting things. So that's done with Llama. Llama 3 just came out. It's almost like 2 days ago, but we're already using it. It turns out that the framework of the work that we're using, or Llama, is the official framework. So you can change the model and right away it's changed. That's the plan. That's what we're talking about today. So let's see. Nothing special on the chat as yet. So the last few people who just came in are getting a chance to talk, and please interrupt and please talk. All right. So what is this webinar? Now, I have been doing it for almost a couple of years. It all started from me teaching Hugging Face. Hugging Face became kind of less important in my mind when ChatGPT came about, and now it's called Advances in AI. But Hugging Face is still there, and it's very important as a platform, and the more AI, the more important it becomes. So it doesn't go away, but the new things comes up. Now, what I do in this webinar is, I would call it a seminar. I try. Whatever I do, I have to be able to prove it, to try it or say, no, I cannot do it. But in any case, try it with your own hands. And that is the only way to really understand anything. I remember that is exactly what Jeff, the chief scientist at Google, that's what he said, that any software comes out, you download that and you try it. Well, I'm still following his advice. So with those introductions, let's go to Andrew A. What he is talking about here is a special theme called multi-agent collaboration. Now, what is this? First of all, we see that in a lot of places, and we will be discussing it in Mistral. Mistral is a new company and a new model, and I will tell you all that I found out about them. But it is also not only how that Mistral is built, but also is a design pattern. And what's the design pattern? You ask multiple experts. So what the idea is that many people specialize in different things. And for example, if you want to build software, you might have a team of a software engineer, product manager, design, and QA, and we all understand that what a product manager does is not what the software engineer does, and they often in conflict. And QA ruins their systems, and software developers are very, very careful with their own software, never break it. So these are people with different interests, different specializations, and sometimes different view of things. Okay, now that we established that use case, that there are many different people in the world, we're doing the same thing for LLM, for large language models. And the way you do it is with this preface. You're saying you are an expert in writing clear, efficient code. Write the code. Other prompts that come to mind are you are a physics professor. You used to talk to students who are, let's say, very little knowledge, and you will be talking in a different way. So that's the approach. The approach is to set who you are. Now, that who you are can be either the same model or it can be different models. It seems that the general approach is valid either way. So he says here that it might be counterintuitive when you're really dealing with one LLM, but you are setting different goals for that LLM. But he explains that it works, and even though LLMs can take a lot of input, but they themselves are confused. It's similar to humans. We're talking about artificial intelligence. We can reason from the natural intelligence. You can confuse a human easily by giving him or her too much information. So breaking it into pieces makes sense, it works, and that's the pattern. Now, it's a very clear pattern, right? We have a democracy, we have a vote on democracy, but I wouldn't be so excited about this if I didn't investigate the second part. Now, he also talks about other interesting things about security flaws and how you can use hallucinations to create a security hole. But that's the thing that I'm interested in, and Mistral is a new thing on the horizon that is implementing exactly that. So that's why I'm excited. Let me look at the comments here, chat. Okay, that is similar to blackboards from the early 90s, yeah, right. And Roman history, that probably is a hint to the Romans tried democracy and they tried autocracy and they tried everything. That's probably what, John, you mean by saying Roman history. So in some way, knowing history helps, right? And Chinese are especially great about that because there's so much about history. And whatever was, whatever is, it's now. For example, Cultural Revolution of communist China. Well, there was such a thing 3,000 years ago in China, and ignorant people took power, and they did the same thing, burned books. So yes, all these stories abound, and they are like, that's what AI is going through now. With that, we can close that and go to the next one. And the next one is getting started with Mistral. So Mistral is an interesting company. I think I looked at it here. No, I logged in and I got the key. But let us go to Mistral. Let's search. There you are. And the short history that comes up here is, to me, it's interesting. That's why I start from here. So it is a French company. It's all about AI. But what is interesting is that was founded by Meta, in other words, Facebook, and Google, and that group started in April 23. So by October 23, they already had 385 million euros. And that I think is today, from experience, is the right way to build anything. You start by collecting money. And the reason I mention it is because my personal peeve, I was part of the startup that started from the product. No, it is, that's what you start with. Of course, you have to be the right people from Meta and from Google, but it worked for them because they were valued at 2 billion about a year ago. Now, the result is that we have this. We have the company, we have Le Chat. Le Chat, of course, is the answer to the chat. It's ChatGPT, but in French, right? So what is special about this company? Because if you look at that, their internal blackboard or dashboard, and then it looks like every other one. And I'm showing you the key, which is the wrong thing to do. Okay, so leur platform, they want everything to be spelled in French. But let's go to the slides. I prepared just a few slides for us to quickly go through them. So what they offer is a combination of models. Some of them are open source. Some of them are for pay. And there are 6 different models. I think 3 for pay and 3 free. And that's how they differentiate themselves from the other commercial offerings, because others are completely free, that's Facebook and their Llama, or completely closed and for pay, and that is OpenAI. And that's in between. You have free versions and you have a paid version. That doesn't tell you anything about what they really are about. So look at this comparison. They compare themselves to Llama. Llama 27B, that's the smallest of the llamas, and they claim that they beat Llama. So you see now who is their competition. It is not ChatGPT, it is other less powerful models, let's put it this way. But we'll come back to that about less powerful. So that is the start. But look here. The architecture of it is that it is not only Mistral, which is, I think, the wind, but also Mixtral, which is I have multiple experts within one network and multiple experts. And of course, that is a cat because of Le Chat, the chat. So multiple experts. Of these, 2 experts are selected to answer your question. And not only the 2 experts are different, but they each one use smaller amount of resources. So I think you will be reminded of what is it, neural network, where 10% of the data is used on each step. Well, 10% of the resources are used on each step because only part of the resources are needed for one expert. Okay, that is a new approach to architecture, similar to agent-driven architecture that Andrew described. But that still doesn't tell you practically when would you go and try to use them. Let's go on.
Question?
Yes, please.
How do they mix experts? I mean, if you have multiple numeric forecasting models, you can average. But if you have text-based output, do they have just some watching model that picks the output between the 2?
They, first of all, have the router. The route is an intelligent router, and essentially he says, oh, I know 2 guys who are very expert at that kind of question and answer. Let them start.
So it's a router based on the question, not based on the answer.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And that route is a smart route, of course. Right. So that is how it is built inside. So they are using the same transformer architecture, but they're making modifications so that it would work with a group of experts, and specifically they say 8 experts. All right, that's an architecture, very interesting, but that is finally what we talk about. Now, that's their competitors, obviously. GPT-3 and Llama 2, 70 billion, the big one, and Mistral is because it's a company called Mistral, but X is added to show that they're using this special mix of experts architecture. Well, with that, you see, they are competing with Llama GPT-3. So you would think, okay, another combination of open and closed source and another competition, but in a minute, they will tell you they will compete with ChatGPT-4 also. So what is special about them is that they're definitely a European-oriented company in the sense that they care about these European languages, but not other languages. That's one. Another thing is that, where did I see GPT-4? Somewhere, so maybe not on the slide, but I definitely saw a claim that they compete with GPT-4 as well. And Llama, I will remind you, speaks only English. And so far it hasn't changed. And of course, ChatGPT talks every language. So that's somewhere in between. Okay, that's an introduction. Now, after that introduction, I'll give you a couple links. One of these links is here. It's the introduction to the Mistral. And maybe what I should do is this. Stop share. And then share again. This time with the sound. And let's go and let's look at just the very beginning.
Welcome to this short course, Getting Started with Mistral, built in partnership with Mistral AI. Many popular and very effective LLMs are built on the standard transformer architecture. But one of the recent open source models released by Mistral, called Mistral 8x7b, modifies the standard transformer architecture using a mixture of experts. This means there are 8 distinct feed-forward neural networks called experts. And at inference time, a different gating neural network first chooses to activate 2 of these 8 experts to run to predict the next token. It then takes a weighted average of these 2 experts' output in order to actually generate that next token. This mixture of experts design allows the Mistral model to have both the performance improvements of a larger model while having inference costs comparable to a smaller model. Specifically, even though the Mistral model has 46.7 billion parameters, at inference time, it only uses 12.9 of those parameters to predict each token. I'm delighted that our instructor for this course is Sophia Yang, who is Head of Developer Relations at Mistral AI.
Thank you, Andrew. I am super excited to work with you and your team on this. In this course, you will get hands-on experience with the various open source and commercial Mistral models, including the open source Mistral model that Andrew just described via our API calls.
Yes, and you also learn about some unique and useful features of the Mistral models. For example, you learn to implement function calling with Mistral's API. This
Okay, let's stop right here. Our function calling is already implemented in other areas in ChatGPT. So we see that they take a mixed approach everywhere. And the reason I wanted to also show this to you is because there is an idea that you should once in a while look at your teacher, and that also helps. So here where we did that, I also have already put it into our repository. That's right here. If we go back to right here, that is starting with the course. The course is free, and I showed you the structure. So once they start, if you have not seen Andrew's courses, once they start saying anything, then on the left,
you'll get to implement function call.
There appears a notebook, and that notebook you can download like this. You can say download it as notebook, then it downloads as a notebook. And if you're missing some of the code because that doesn't show that there is a helper function, then you can go to the notebook that is giving you, okay, very nice. That shows you that when you run it in the environment, that doesn't always work. And that leads you to put it into your environment. That is what I have done. So our next link right here, no, right here. Next link goes to our repository. Okay, so all of these notebooks are already here. And that is in Git. But I can also show you that running in the local. That's localhost running Jupyter Lab. And so that is my code now because I just stole it from them. I also said file open and it brought me to this helper function. And where I stopped was I got the key, but something is wrong with some of the installs. So that's what I told you. Maybe we'll have to continue a completely working Mistral next time. At least you have all of that, you can download it. And as we all know, it's a difference between something working kind of on my computer that's in the environment and working on your environment localhost. Then when it works, you know that it's real. Now, after that comes pretty standard stuff. You prompt the model to do something. You're telling it you are a bank customer service bot, and here are my questions, and you watch for its reactions. That is not new, of course, but they need to demonstrate how Mistral works in regular environments, in regular tasks. Compare that to ChatGPT and what it would do, and show off its capability. One of the things that they have is they have built in JSON straight into the model. What do I mean? Well, you can tell ChatGPT or Llama, you can tell it, I want my output in JSON, and it will do it. Somehow, they built that option straight into the model. I don't exactly see what's so different between me telling it just do JSON and they having built it in. But the idea is that if you want enterprise integrations, then you want everything structured. You are not interested in just chat, le chat, but you're interested in structured information that you will pass to the next step. Your AI is part of the big system. So summarization, of course, that is by now, it's the first stepping stone for everyone. What else? Okay, model selection, that's where you can exercise how you choose which model. Is it the free one that you use or is it the paid one? And these three are paid ones. Small Mistral, medium, and large, they're all for pay. I will probably report about the charges, but they expect they will be pretty competitive. And right now, unless you're doing something enormous, the charges are very minimal. I didn't see any free trial though. Okay, then what else? Function calling. For example, you can say, I want the weather now, and don't go to the website to find out, even though you can. But here's my application that does exactly that. But it is working as a function call. So please use my function call to find out the relevant questions. That is already part of many other systems on ChatGPT. Here, I think it is more integrated into your codes and stuff. You can specify tools and then the query. Okay. And the basic RAG. Yes, you wanted to say something? Okay, so in the RAG, what is interesting, of course, is which data store do you use? Because RAG means that you take all your documents, break them into pieces, store it in a semantic search engine or database. Which one do they use? They tell you FAISS, I think. Here. Well, let's search. That's the one. FAISS seems to be an open source, probably. Oh, from Facebook, maybe. Yes.
Yeah, it's a Facebook AI semantic search.
Okay. So good to know. And then you don't need to go out. So Pinecone works wonderfully well, unless you have a prohibition to use any outside data store, and I'm dealing with enough of such cases. So that's how they implemented RAG. So it seems like RAG, even though I kept saying that RAG is bad architecture, but no, I think everybody uses it and it's good architecture. And the Pinecone themselves, they promote it as the best of architectures. So maybe. Finally, le chat, the chat interface where you can talk to it. All right, that is this. That is looking into Mistral, and I think you can think of which use cases they think about. It's regulated maybe, and enterprise environment for Europe. I would guess that's the major theme. At this point, I will stop share and go on mute and let you ask questions. So here you are.
Has there been any comparison between using the input size tokens versus doing RAG as far as accuracy or how well they're working with large inputs? I think Mistral large is 32,000 tokens. So if your document fits into that, just not trying to do RAG, but just doing the input directly to the model. I'm just wondering if there's been any kind of accuracy comparison on the RAG type of questions.
Yes, there was one, and it was the less time. So, okay. So I don't need to play my trick to provoke your questions. You ask right away. I think that we discussed this here with the pine cone. There, Pinecone Workshop, they do exactly that because their goal is to prove that they are the best. And to prove that, they show studies, and they call them studies, where they say that quality improves with using Pinecone or any other similar semantic database. Was that your question?
Yes, I'll look at it in more detail.
It's 1 hour to listen to, but these are the slides, but it's both links are working. Okay, so that is the overview of chat discussion, but what I want to show you is Llama 3 in action. All right, so I'm building something that is, it needs to process forms, and form processing, of course, is always a mess, and the forms are incorrect and break your code, and then the famous developer question, what did you do to my code to make it break? So that shouldn't happen, we're trying AI. And the requirement there is to use local llama or local model. But I'll tell you what happened, because so use just local is flexible, as I will show. Let us start with llama. I'm very interested in just pure local, and by the way, free. So my Alice just goes to that machine here, and here I have the nodes. So Llama is installed here. It's installed as a service. You talk to it through all Llama, and the way to start, you can say, oh Llama, run this model Llama 3. And the previous installation of Llama works. You just add the model. So let us try. Now that is real. It takes a second or two to start, and we can say hello, and just watch the speed of response. Okay, a reasonable speed of response, you would say. Not too fast, but good enough. So if I say my name is, I don't want to use Mark, but I don't want to use anything else that will betray my vulnerabilities. So how about this? For some reason it takes a time to just realize what I'm talking about, but it got it. Okay. What of course I'm testing is, does it remember? What is my name? Okay, it's pretty standard. Every time I ask this question, it gives me the joke about I am all ears or all text. And then it says, I remember your name is X, X, X. So that is proving the point that it works. Here I am talking to it as I would be talking to ChatGPT. I can also look at the load when it's talking to me. So let's go to the same machine. And let's look at the processes. And let us ask it some more complex. What else can we do? Let's look, okay. So we have quite a lot of hardware, 32 CPUs here. So it's using a lot of memory and it's working, I think 50% of each CPU. That's why it's almost 1600% CPU utilization, but it's giving me the answer. And I want to watch what happens after it stops talking. Does it quiet down here on the right? Still, generating the continued answers is requiring a lot of load. So let's wait. It's a question, by the way, we can read the answer. Answer question, generate text, translate languages, summarize context, content, offer suggestions. Still working hard, as you can see.
So is it useful to use those double-starred terms as kind of reserved words in prompt engineering that would trigger behavior?
You mean star right here?
Yeah, like the translate languages, if you use translate languages or summarize content, treat those as reserved words in prompt engineering to get that behavior.
Yes,
Um,
either that or that could be marked down, which spilled into the text. Just to emphasize. I don't know why they use it, but I can only guess. And right now, no real guess comes to mind. Okay, that is just plain like talking to ChatGPT. That's nothing very new. What I am doing here in this one is I'm interested in processing the form. That happens to be, and by the way, how to get out, it will joke about that it will not be offended if you get out, but the real way to get out is Control Z. Okay, I have a few scripts here, and I have a demo one script, and in that one, I'm giving it a form, and then I'm asking, what do you find in this form, kind of question. So I will start it. It gave me all the form and then the things, and it will go for about between 4 to 7 minutes. That's how long it takes it. If I say, give me one arrest date, then it will only say that date and take 4 minutes. If I say, give me all arrest dates, it will be 7 minutes. So looking at that, I'm stopping it. Okay. Looking at that, I'm looking for other ways to do it. And one of the other ways to do it is just to use ChatGPT. Because why would I use Llama? Well, because it's local, maybe because it's free. But obviously, you can see there is no comparison. I'm trying to imitate the power of ChatGPT cluster, 10,000 GPU. And I'm trying to do it on one machine that has 32 CPU, not even GPU. So I am investigating something else. There is a ChatGPT called Open ChatGPT or Azure Open ChatGPT on Azure. All you need to do, at least in my case, is to integrate that ChatGPT, which I have done. That is not hard. It's a code that simply calls Open ChatGPT as opposed to regular ChatGPT. Not very hard. And that fulfills the security requirement that I personally have. So as soon as I have access to government cloud, by the way, it's still working, I don't know why. But as soon as I have access to government cloud in the Azure, then I can call it and I will drop my efforts of using Llama. Because in my case, that works fine. But there are other cases, I'm sure, where, yes, Llama will be an interesting alternative, as well as Mistral that we'll look at today. That is the practical side of things. Practical, as you can see, not everything is perfect. And I have other components of my pipeline here. Okay. Still thinking about something. So that's my plan. It's either Llama and it is local and very slow, or it is ChatGPT on the government cloud and it will be fast enough. That is the practical side I was looking at here. I wanted to look at running Llama, and yes, I'm running Llama 3. It's not faster, but it is smarter. Supposedly somewhere we saw that it is just as smart as ChatGPT. Well, I don't know. I saw it somewhere. Whenever people say, they say it nonstop, that they just want to attract your attention. So every video on YouTube claims that, oh, you didn't know, but that model is even better than this one. That is the style today. So that is what I wanted to show you. And maybe another thing that I wanted to share, which I might have shared before, is that compare the offerings of funding from different companies and also talk about courses. So all right, perks. I am a member of startup. Let's have Microsoft for startups. So they will give you credits. Once you present, I'm a company and I'm an AI company. If you can prove it to them, which is not very hard, I think, okay, then you get credits. That's one way. Amazon is not like that. Amazon doesn't throw away money, but instead they pair you with a company that will implement your use case if you have a convincing use case. And in that case, I did. So I said, look, I'm a training company, and my use case would be automatic training, of course, which they found convincing, and they arranged a contract with one of their implementers. So the implementer will be listening to us doing the course, and then nobody leaves the room before they answer the AI questions, Joe. All right. that is the style of Amazon, as I finally found out, because they were not very open in the beginning. What will happen? Probably the instruction don't tell it all. And Google. So Google goes into here. What I can say about Google is that I have a Google Vertex. I think it is Vertex or something like that. Let's verify. Wouldn't be embarrassing to call it the wrong name. Vertex, okay. Google Vertex. Vertex is their rebranded way of selling AI, and they keep rebranding almost every few months. But now it is Vertex. So I was going to offer you guys, whoever wants to do it, a course in AI with practical exercises, of course, free, and just do the exercises. But that's what I said last time. But now it seems that I may be teaching a Google Vertex course, a short introduction, about 2 days. Well, if that is coming through, and it may, and I will be teaching it in about 2 weeks from now, then I will be preparing. And as I'm preparing, I want to try it on you. So what I will do is I'll show you a quick introduction into Google Vertex and some exercises, and that's coming in the next one and probably the next one, because the date of training is May 13, right? That is what? So will be next Friday is okay, and next that's okay. That is good, and that is exactly what I'm planning to do. So what we can do is copy that and prepare that for the next time, like this. But at least right now, it looks like what we should do is let's keep this Mistral, but working in our vehicle. So that's what we can do next time, and also for start. I'm taking out all the rest because it will not be relevant by next week, but that will still be. So that's at least the plan for next week. And that is all that I wanted to cover today. I'm stopping the share, and you have a chance to ask questions again.
What attracted you to teach in the Google Vertex versus the Amazon or the Azure?
Well, it's the client, and they say it's open tech. I shouldn't be saying that, but they want
Okay.
to learn about how to implement your cases exactly in Google. That's all, the only thing.
Okay.
And that is exactly how they formulated that question. But they were vague enough, so I send them a 2-day outline, and we'll see what happens. If that goes through, do we need to prepare for course? That's a good question, sir. No, you don't have to prepare. I will give you everything. I'll give you the probably the account on Google, because I want you to run on Google, or maybe I will just give you the what was Quick Labs. That was a place where you could run Amazon and Google. Not anymore, because you can only run Google there. And if you go to Quick Labs, that was Quick Labs, and now it is Google Cloud Skill Boost, because they bought it, they kicked out Amazon, and Microsoft was never there. But I may give you labs from there. You don't have to pay anything, you don't have to pay for anything. That's what the plan is. Okay, so let's go back and let's see if there are any more questions. Okay. Okay, so that would be great. You're saying fragmentation of the market. You mean AI market, Lawrence, right? That's a good question. What do I think of that? Because we definitely observe it. We see enormous amount of information. And practically for us, now, if you're teaching something, well, you have more to teach. If you're learning something, you need to learn more in order to keep current, just to keep up with all the offerings. And that very much reminds me, Golden Rush, well, long no time ago that I wasn't part of. But then dot-com boom, but I was part of it, and you had to speak authoritatively and tell the guys you didn't know, but that software is this, and that is what it's becoming now. You need to know, let's say Mistral. Let's say it gives you something special. So you as a consultant go and say, oh, I know about Mistral, something, something, and you guys didn't miss it. And because you missed it, your implementation is wrong. Well, that's what it practical means to us. What do you think, Lawrence? Is that what it tells you? Okay, Vipul, thank you very much. And I'm glad that you found it useful, because that's what I do every time somebody is for the first time here. I'll tell them what to expect. And what to expect is that I do try everything. And I talk about practically what happens to me. That is, I applied here, applied there, that worked, that didn't work, that kind of thing. So you might be, if you're doing similar things, you might find them useful. So, okay, guys, thank you very much for being here, and I wish you a great weekend, and then great week, and then month and a year. Everything should go well. So goodbye.
Bye.